How do you know Hava?
We met, we just met out, didn't we? We kind of, I haven't long lived in Swansea, moved there a few years ago, and we seemed to frequent the same kind of like bars, gigs, things like that,
okay, cool.
and we saw each other out, and then we bumped into each other in Cardiff, of all the places. We weren't even going to the same gig,
Nice.
so and then we kind of got friendly and started talking on the back of that. So I think it's kind of like the universe being like, oh, look at this person, and here I am today. Here I am. So everything happens for the reason, and the universe has brought us here today.
And here we are.
So yes.
So yeah, I just want to start by thanking you for coming in
That's
and agreeing
alright.
to be interviewed on camera, because you agreed to that.
I absolutely consented to this.
So Hava is basically her final major project on the theme of empowering women and resilience in women. She's writing an EP and making music videos to go with each track, showcasing her journey as a powerful woman. She was hoping to get an insight from you to help inform her music and her creative process.
Okay.
So could you just tell me a little bit about your background? It's not an interview.
I was going to say, what
Tell me
experience
about yourself.
do you have? Do you like fine wine and long walks on the beach? I'm from a pretty impoverished background. I grew up very poor on a council estate. I didn't have very supportive parents. I didn't have a very supportive network or family growing up. So a lot of what I've achieved in my life has taken a lot of strength and independence, which is probably why I'm the person that I am today.
You're a brilliant candidate for this interview.
Yes, I actually left school at 15 with no qualifications.
Nice.
But in later life, I found resilience and strength to go back to college and become educated. And I've moved around. I lived in Canada for a year on my own. So
Nice.
decided
I've always wanted to go to Canada.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I loved it. They're lovely people. That helped shape me as a person as well, and again build my resilience and empowerment, because I was only 18 and I stayed over there for a year. Nice. So that was interesting. And then I came back here, and I'm now a woman in my mid-30s with a job that I enjoy, stable home life, and my own family, which is made up of friends, because I still don't have that family structure or support. So it's pretty much been me on my own my entire life.
Your chosen family.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Cool.
Which is always a positive.
Nice. So could you share a significant challenge you faced in your life and how you overcame it? I know you've already kind of touched on things already, but...
That's very true, actually. A significant challenge. Probably for myself, it'd be something quite recent, actually, now you're asking. I've always thought very differently about things, and I've always struggled with when people meet me and stuff, like they often refer to me as crazy and mental and off the wall and all that. And I'm just used to it. That's the vibe I bring to the function, and I tend to just wing life generally. Yeah. But recently I got promoted at work. So I went from doing a day-to-day job that I've been doing for years. I could do it with my eyes closed. I'm very easily distracted, and I struggle to focus on a lot of things. So now that I've stepped up in work, and I'm now a training instructor, so I will be, shaping the minds that come into the land registry. Yeah. Worried about that at all, it's absolutely fine. And I'm also undergoing my own training course, which is a different work type. I have struggled in a training setting because I'm not very academic, which is why I didn't do well in school. Yeah. And I don't learn the same way that other people do. So I'm currently the last couple of months have been very stressful and hard physically and mentally on me, because my peers are excelling in this work type, and I feel like I'm drowning. I'm all alone. But I do possess the mental capability to do the work. So I'm currently being referred for an assessment for ADHD. Oh, nice. Because it's been highlighted that I may have neurodivergent needs. Totally. So I will be supported in work. But that has been a struggle my entire life. But it's recently something, like this interview is quite really good timing, but it's something that is literally going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. So I'll speak to someone and then I can get kind of additional support at work. But that has been quite challenging throughout my life, especially when I went back to college and things like that, and trying to explain that, and then having like this foreboding sense in myself that there's something wrong with me and that I'm stupid. But I'm not. I just think a bit differently.
Yeah, totally.
So that's overcoming adversity. So it's fine. 100%. I will represent. So,
Amazing answer, thank you. So what does resilience mean to you?
Bounce back ability.
Yeah? Amazing.
Sorry, I talked straight over you then.
That was absolutely fine. And how has that shaped your journey?
As I said, I went on a resilience course Wednesday. I lied, it was Wednesday. So it was like a 6-hour course as part of me being a training instructor, because you can deal with very challenging and difficult people and situations.
Totally, yeah.
So they asked us this very question, and my answer was bounce back ability, because the thing is, like, life will knock you down, and there are things that are happening, things will drag you down, and resilience is your ability to get yourself back up, dust yourself back off, and carry on.
Yeah.
And as hard as it is when things go wrong and bad things happen to you, it kind of strengthens you and gives you the armour that you have in order to proceed with your life.
Totally.
And I've had a lot of traumatic, bad things happen to me, and at the time, it's very, very difficult, but I've worked through each thing, and I just get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah,
so I'm at a point now where I have like a full suit of armour on.
You're a human bouncy ball.
Yes, I am. Like boing, 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 just jump straight out the window. Boom!
Amazing. So were there any role models or influences in your life that helped you stay strong during times where things were difficult?
My grandfather.
Yeah.
He unfortunately died when I was 12, but he was the... it's fine. It's a long time ago now. I'm 36. It's a long time ago. But for me as a child, he didn't live with us. He lived abroad, so I'd only see him like once or twice a year. But I have 2 of his photos. They're the only things I managed to salvage at my desk. So when I have moments that I am low or feeling like I'm doubting myself, or I become overwhelmed, because it's very easy to get overwhelmed, especially in stressful situations, I think of him and the love that he showed me and the support he showed me, the little pockets when I was growing up. He gave me the little glimmers that made me become the teen that I was, the young adult, and the woman that I am now. And I try and conduct myself and my life in a way that I think would make him proud.
Oh, that's a lovely answer. Amazing. So in moments of struggle, what motivated you to keep going instead of giving up? And again, you kind of touched on, like, with all your answers, really.
Trying not to use inappropriate language.
That's fine.
Okay, you can't let the bastards grind you down.
Yeah.
Like, essentially you can't, because... No, it's a matter of a lot of the world is full of good people and bad people, and good people can do bad things and bad people can do good things. However, some people will intentionally tear you down and try and make your life difficult through their own spite or jealousy, malice. Like, I'm the opposite. I'm very much, I like to make people laugh, I like to build people up. And I have been in jobs and relationships and friendships and things where you have these toxic people that constantly try and smother you and like take you apart through whatever,
whatever
reasons that they see fit, not only because they're bullies, and we don't do bullies, we don't have bullies in our lives. But those people, again, and their attitude and the way that they are, kind of drove me to be the opposite. And the same with my experiences through childhood with my own mother, who was not a particularly nice or caring individual. So that drove me to be the complete opposite.
Totally, yeah.
So when we spin it that way, it doesn't come from the place of spite, it comes from the place of I want to be better than you and I want to put goodness into the world. And it just encourages me then, because it is very overwhelming and it is much easier to just lay down and die and be like, I can't do this anymore. But you know what? You can. It's all right to have your moment, have your cry, have your de-stress, but you do need to get yourself back up and power on forward, because then the ripple effect of that you have on people, and especially now I'm going to be, in a room such as this with 15, 16 people looking to me for help and support, I need to be that role model for them. And I will be that role model for them. So it's important for me to process all of that and put that positivity back into them to encourage them and give them confidence.
Amazing. So, have you ever felt pressured to conform to societal expectations? And if so, how did you navigate that? How much time have we got?
I was going to say, I think we need 2 interviews for this. Yes. Yes, I'll try and condense this the best I can. I am an alternative individual, if we haven't noticed. I've always been like that. I was a little child that was had morbid curiosities, things like that. And when you're younger, especially when you're a teenager or you're like 18, 19, you're young, or probably like a lot of the younger people that are in college, you know, you have the freedom to express yourself, dress how you want, wear what you want, things like that. Society will rain down on you, but essentially you are free to do what you want, more so than when you're an adult. So I found, as I was going into my early 20s, my mid-20s, and I was trying to get an actual career, because at one point I was bouncing from job to job to job to job to job, working cash in hand, working minimum wage jobs. I didn't have any goal, I didn't have any focus, I didn't have any drive, really. I didn't know what I was doing. I had a Mohican at the time. Amazing. I had much more piercings, do you know what I mean? And it was like, back then, people looked at you and they were like, no.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they just judged you, I said on that. So I had to remove my piercings, grow my hair out. I had to change the way that I dressed.
Dull yourself.
Yeah, dull myself down, dull my sparkle, right? And I am sparkly. So in order to get the interviews, to get the jobs, and then when you're in the role, you have to kind of fit in to what they want you to do, because the older you get, the more responsibilities you have. I mean, you have to pay a mortgage, you have to pay rent, you have to pay bills, you have to do all of these things. So you kind of, and it made me desperately unhappy inside to have to do that, but you had to do that. Now, fortunately for myself now, I'm in the Land Registry. It's a very culturally diverse place. I'm also gay, which I feel is relevant for this. Because when I was younger, I also had to suppress a lot of that, because there was a lot of stigma attached to that, and I have had.
Amen.
Yeah, I hear you. There was a lot of difficulties and things like that in work. But as I said, now society has moved forward, and in my current role, I am actually a member of the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, the LGBTQI Committee, and Women's Network, and all of these things in work. So all of the adversity that I've faced and the conformity that I've had to face throughout my life has gone out the window, and I'm very much myself at all times, and I'm able to do that in work, and I'm also celebrated in work, and I'm there to celebrate other people as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Imagine what like your little gay teen self would think here, and you say all those things.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? It's crazy.
She'd be so proud. She'd be like, "Girl, lay off the wine." But yeah, it's a world of difference, and I love the way. I know the world is full of terrible, awful things, but the world is also a much better place than it was for us when we were growing up, because it was very, very difficult, and I'm very grateful that it's like that now, so people are free to express themselves and be the people who they want, and people don't just cast judgment, because at the end of the day, it's none of your business.
Totally.
I love who I want and I'll wear what I want.
Yeah, amazing. Honestly, fantastic answer. So, Elio, what advice would you give to younger women who are facing obstacles and self-doubt?
Become a mind reader, because I'm just jumping through the questions, Always be true to yourself. Always believe in yourself and your capabilities, because it's very easy to be influenced by people in a negative way, because they can tell you, you can't do this, you shouldn't do that. But and you can feel then that you can absorb the negativity, so those bad vibes, and they can influence the way that you feel about yourself and drag down yourself. But you know your character, you know your worth, and you have to look at yourself in the mirror. And if you can look at yourself in the mirror and be happy with the person that you are and your moral compass, that's what you need to focus on. And I would say that always, if you are feeling overwhelmed or pressurized by other people, or you feel like other people don't feel like you meet expectations, if you think you can do it, you need to focus on that. It is literally PMA. I'm all about the PMA. Try and find a positive spin on it, and just encourage yourself and take time to reset yourself and be like, do you know what, I can do this. You need to believe in yourself.
Yeah, water for ducks back, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I have skin like a rhino. There is literally nothing that anyone can say or do to me that hasn't been done already.
It's a beautiful place to be.
Yeah. Come at me. Come at me, here I am.
Yeah, amazing. So, how has overcoming challenges changed the way that you see yourself and your strength?
In the last couple of years, I would say on the point of self-worth that I just made, I was always someone that had to kind of coast and to a point have a bit of bravado about myself, kind of like fake confidence and be like, oh yeah, so everything I just said, I would have to pretend and emulate, and that would be me all the time. But then when I was on my own, I would really, really struggle. But the more challenges I've overcome and the more that I have actually put that effort into channeling, you know, positive affirmations, I'm a big believer in positive affirmations, it has actually like reflected in my character and myself. I struggled with anxiety for a very long time, so about 10 years, chronic anxiety, multiple panic attacks. And then over the years, it just stopped itself. They slowed and they slowed and they slowed. And I'm now in a place, I think I'd probably say about the last 2 years or so, where I don't actually have anxiety of, you get your normal pangs or whatever. But like today, like I just told her, as I was going for an interview, they were like, oh my God, you're nervous. I was like, no. And I'm not, because we're in a safe space. You're lovely people. So we're just gonna sit here and talk. But the challenges encouraged me to keep wanting to be better, to be a better person, and all the doubts and negativity that I had for myself, it kept empowering me to move forward with those and just make myself stronger and better. And as I said, that reflects now in myself when I'm there looking at myself in the mirror. I'm happy with the person I am and I'm confident. And as awful as challenges and obstacles are, they do tie into the resilience factor. And until something happens to you, you don't actually realise how resilient you are.
Totally. So, it's like you have to practice at it as well, isn't it? Like
yes.
Anxiety, if you run away from your anxiety all your life, you're never going to get good at facing it.
No.
And then eventually, you get to a point where you're untouchable because you've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and
Exactly.
Amazing. Are there any songs, books, or pieces of art specifically that you could think of that have inspired you to be resilient?
That is a very good question. One I did not expect. That's good, Paul. That's good, Paul. I don't have the concentration span to read anymore. I used to like a lot of poetry. I would personally say, as a woman and a musician, Stevie Nicks is someone that I've always lent on in times that I have felt down, like her music, her story. I did get a little bit obsessed with her, her life and her journey through Fleetwood Mac and all of that. I won't go off on a tangent about Fleetwood Mac. I've been very fortunate to see Fleetwood Mac and meet Fleetwood Mac.
What?
Met them in Birmingham a couple of years ago. It was amazing. And I saw her last year in Hyde Park as well, and she is an inspiration to me. Because all the things that she has had to overcome in her life, her battles with addiction, obviously being in a relationship and then being in the band, all the other personal things that she's had and the challenges that she's had to face, and like the upbringing that she had and like her backstory. And something that she did that I always thought was very beautiful is all the songs that she wrote were poems. She would write a poem and then turn them into a song. And I just have a lot of respect for the woman, and she has been an inspiration to me. And I like a lot of alternative, angry music, but I do have my Stevie Fleetwood Mac playlist, and just, I would say Stevie Nicks 100% is my go-to.
Amazing. What message would you like to give to other women who are potentially struggling with their inner strength?
Keep going.
Yeah.
As cliche as that sounds, and unfortunately cliches annoy me, but they are there for a reason, they exist for a reason.
Totally.
But it is very, very difficult, and anyone that tells you any different is lying to you. It is very difficult to literally get up and keep going. It's much easier to just curl up in a little ball, be like, I'll shut the doors, windows, I won't talk to anyone, and just isolate myself, I'll withdraw, I'll just become this husk of my former self. Having to have the strength to go out there and put yourself out there can lead to feelings of anxiety, self-doubt, things like that, but ultimately it will give you that resilience and that confidence in the future. And it's trying to be pragmatic about those things, which again, when you're going through tough times, is very, very difficult. But even if you can see like a tiny little pinprick of light in the distance, you need to focus on that. Always try and find a positive thing out of the negative situation that you're in, and keep going, because you absolutely will get there. And if I could go back in time and speak to my younger self, I would tell her that.
Yeah.
But you've got to keep going, because you will get there, and you will then one day stand there and be proud of the woman that you are, the strong, resilient, powerful woman that you are.
Amazing. In what ways do you think that society can be better in supporting and empowering women to be more resilient?
Where do we start?
Yeah.
Where do we start? Again, luckily we have moved on a lot,
Yeah.
especially from when I was younger. The world is still very much, I feel, geared towards male empowerment rather than female empowerment. They say that we have the same rights and we're treated, just as equally as men, but we're not. So in regards to that, I think from a legality point of view, I'm not sure how much more we can do, because a lot of things are protected now, such as pregnancy and things like that, that they used to, that they used to discriminate against towards. I don't know if they could do more in schools at like a younger age, because like I said, with me in my current role, that's, we are very much an equal thing, and I'm on multiple committees there at work as well to ensure that that does happen. But I think if they start when they're much, much younger, and it's ingrained in them as they're growing up, then I think that the ripple effect of that is going to have a much more positive impact, and it's going to become more of the societal norm then, that we are equals because we need to be equals. At the end of the day, the only thing that separates us is, and you can't even say you can't even say gender, because again, people can be non-binary, people can identify however they want to be, but intrinsically, if you are categorized as a female and a male, you should be the same. We are human beings and we should be treated the same. So I think more needs to be done in schools. We can't control what goes on in the internet, because everyone lives on TikTok, so God knows what they're watching on there.
Literally.
But if they can get them where they're in a place of education,
totally.
And ingrain it, and then they share it with their peers, and it becomes normal. So I think that would be a good start, and something that the government could probably implement.
Yeah, I think we're getting closer to that.
Yeah, so we're crawling towards it. We just need a little push.
Yeah.
Just over the end, because it's hard. I think it's much easier to shape young minds than it is when people are adults, because you can't make people change. People have to want to change, but children are very susceptible.
Totally.
So I think that's where we need to start.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on at the moment with social media, and how it can be co-opted for the right, and misogynistic views, and how it's being used to target young people. You look at the Trump administration, and we're getting very political now, but
Andrew Tate.
Yes, that whole thing. I think it's becoming very prominent now in mainstream, and I think there needs to be a rebuttal.
I agree.
To shut that shit down.
No, I agree with you.
Because it's gonna get completely out of hand soon.
Yeah, I think personally it's their reaction to what they call the extreme left, and it's you can have extremisms in any. I tend to fall more towards left, neutral, but I've always been more left, because let people be people. I'd never say I was an extremist.
No.
So you have them either way, but I think that the way that, especially it's the internet, that they've spun some of the leftist views, they're saying that they're extremists when they're actually not. We're just asking to be treated the same.
Totally.
So then you get the Trump administration, do you know what I mean? And you get these types of people, and you get, what's his name, Tommy Robinson. You get people like that then, that just get these platforms, and they are corrupting young people, and these people think that this is all right.
And telling people they're oppressed when really they just have to treat people well.
Yeah, exactly. You treat people with basic respect. You treat people like human beings.
It's I don't have the right to be derogatory anymore, so I'm oppressed.
Yeah.
It's that.
Yes, essentially.
Yeah.
So, and it's that propaganda, that negative propaganda that's in the world, but we can't control the internet, can we, unfortunately?
Wow.
Well, I can, because I'm very careful with my algorithms. The thing about that, I'm like, oh, I can't click on that, it's going to mess my algorithm.
Yeah.
So I don't tend to do that. But I completely agree with you. Yeah, like that is dangerous. And that's the issue I said with kids.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when they are doing that, because they think, and then it breeds, you know, things like that. You read about incels and things like, yeah, and that stuff is dangerous.
It's something that, like, in education sector, we're very, like, acutely aware of at the moment.
Yeah.
And very much trying to think, like, how do we combat that, you know?
Yeah, they need to, that's what I'm saying, if they counteract that in schools, they try and get it early doors before they take it and run with it, because then when people hit their teens, and then you've got all the hormones coming into play then as well, and you're like, when you're like 13, 14, I'm an adult, I know what I'm doing, you absolutely don't, but you think that you do.
Totally.
So yeah, I just drive the focus there and try and like help and fix them while we can.
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate on this campus because it's very much arts, music, and it's very alternative, very LGBT friendly.
Yeah.
So I think there's not much of like an incel presence here.
No.
But then when I speak to my colleagues from like T-Core campus, it's a very different picture. So yeah.
We are the nice fun people though.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, so the arts, the culture, the alt vibe, I've always found it to be, I think that's probably why I gravitated towards it at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
It's, we're a very welcoming community.
Yeah.
So, but you can find the normies, tend to be very judgmental. So yeah, we don't need them in our lives, it's fine.
No.
We're too good for them.
Totally. Well, that was a little tangent. Thank you so much for coming in, and thank you for your incredible answers.
You're welcome.
Yeah, do you have anything else you'd like to say, Hannah? No? Amazing.